headquarters of common sense.
Talk Radio.
Aside from leading these 52 schools, as you've said, I founded a charity which is called Oasis. I'm a Baptist minister and a canon inside the Church of England. And it's just awful to see religion and faith used to oppress people, to cripple them, to leave them broken. I lead a church which has a large LGBT contingent membership within it, and has done for years. I approached the government and was able to qualify to be able to practice same-sex marriage, which we've done for as long as that was possible. But I can't tell you, Ian, the number of times I listen to stories, I'm sure Bev knows them, of somebody who's been broken, torn apart. They've come to hate themselves because the use of prayer and preaching and teaching has been misapplied to leave them in a place of utter rejection, believing not only are they unworthy, but that God hates them, and even told that they're going to suffer eternal punishment in hell because of who they are. We have to stop this.
And I certainly know, Bev, that you wouldn't endorse that kind of thing. But if I've got...
No, I mean, I couldn't agree more. I think that Steve is absolutely right. I think also the word conversion therapy is probably just a stupid name, isn't it? Because no, it's got nothing to do with therapy. It's as you say, the misuse of religion to try and turn people, change people into something they're not. But as you know, for me, it's terribly important that we distinguish between gay and transgender.
I was just going to say, Bev, just to interject for a second, am I right in saying then that this legislation, that from an LGBT alliance perspective, this legislation being, you were concerned that it was going to be put onto the statute books, not because of the gay element of it, but because of the gender side of it. Is that right?
Yes, I think the point is that, I mean, about banning gay conversion therapy, we leave aside whether it should be called that anyway. To ban that is absolutely fine, and mostly in most circumstances it already is illegal in the UK. But I think Steve is absolutely right that there are in some religious communities that abuse religion in this way, and if the government wants to close those loopholes, it's uncontroversial. Everybody thinks it's disgusting. It doesn't work, and it's just cruel, and it ruins people's lives.
So which bit did you want to keep, Bev?
Well, the problem with the other side was when you bring gender dysphoria into it, is that you're talking about a completely different issue. And what we're talking about really is teenagers, and 3/4 of them are girls, coming along and saying, a girl coming and saying, I'm a boy. And if you criminalize talk therapy, which is what was in the proposals, then you're not allowed to say, hang on, you say you're a boy, can we just explore some of the factors? And if they say, no, I don't want to explore any factors, I know I'm a boy, then it would become illegal. You would be trying to press them into being something else to try and figure out what's going on. And we don't know, in fact, what this means. And I really, basically, what I'm standing up for is lesbians, because we get contacted by lots of women in their 20s usually, because it takes 8 or 10 years sometimes to realize they made a mistake. They were 16, they thought they were trans, and then 10 years later they think, hang on, I've got no breasts, I've had my breasts taken off, I've got atrophy of the internal organs, I'm infertile, and actually I was just a lesbian.
I was just gay. I was okay. Steve Chalke, I mean, do you see that distinction that Bev is making?
Well, yes and no. So absolutely, I agree with Bev that there is a distinction between the LGB, which is about sexuality and the expression of who you are in your sexual identity, and the T bit is about gender, which is something completely different. However, we have a large number, a small percentage, but it's still a large number of individuals in our schools who question their gender. And in the churches that I'm responsible for, and the one that I actually lead, we have a trans group as well as an LGB. Well, in actual fact, everybody meets together, but we also have a specific trans group. So though Bev says, this is the bit I disagree with, on two counts, not to be contentious, but we have more men that have transitioned to being women in our church than the other way round. And secondly, sometimes, as Bev knows, this is to do with sexuality and gender. So it's not absolutely distinct for...
Yeah, but when you went, sorry, Steve, you're talking about adults.
Yes, and so
Yes.
I agree.
So
with
I
you
wasn't
on that.
talking about adults. So
No,
I'm specifically worried about girls age, say, 12 to 16. That's the huge group between 14, 15, 16. These girls, and they're very confused in many ways.
Absolutely. So as I say, within our schools, we run primary and secondary schools with sixth forms as well. And we have currently around 50 young people who've come out, if you like, about their desire to change gender and transition.
Would you like these people to have hormones?
I absolutely agree with what you've said, Bev, that we need proper protocols around this so that nobody rushes into a decision that they later regret.
That's exactly the point. That's exactly the point.
But at the same time, so this has to be done well, and there needs to be all the proper safeguarding in place. We've issued policies for all of our schools around this, and actually many other schools have done the same. The problem has been, in the past, sometimes people have been allowed to rush into things. A girl, for instance, who's overweight and who doesn't like herself in this sexualized society, which is Instagram and TikTok led, can easily want to escape her femininity because she's laughed at by becoming a boy and then regret it.
And that's the point, Steve, isn't it? That the idea that it's just the distinction between, when we say conversion therapy, it sounds correct, it sounds horrendous, but, counselling, that sounds like a very good thing. And I think ultimately, Bev, what you're advocating is good counselling.
Yeah, and what I'm advocating more than anything else is for us, before legislating about anything to do with transgender conversion therapy, first define what that means, and second, wait for the results of the CAS review. Now, the CAS, the CAS interim report has recently been published, and it highlighted this issue that we have to look at all these girls, because quite often you look at the evidence, there isn't much evidence, but the evidence there is mostly about men, these men that Steve talks about, and that has nothing to do with the situation of these girls. So let's wait for the CAS report before making...
Go on, Steve.
Sorry, I keep interrupting, sorry.
Yeah, no, Bev, I think that's right. The problem is this, as you pointed out yourself right at the beginning, that when we talk about conversion therapy, we're talking about some pseudo therapy that doesn't really exist.
Of course. Yeah,
what it boils down to, Ian, as you know, because you just played out the soundbite twice, is it boils down to particularly a group of conservative, evangelical and charismatic churches, black and white, who believe in a literalistic understanding of some texts of the Bible rather than applying them in context.
Yes,
and they
that is what it is.
And they weaponize these and use them on people. So we need to free trans people from this, and we need to ban these practices as soon as we can, because every day we wait, new lives are lost or spoiled.
Bev?
Yeah, I'm not sure that you're right about that. I mean, of course, you're right that we should ban these terrible religious, this abuse of religion. But what I see quite often in very conservative religious circles, that, and I can find you several examples of this, parents who have a very supposedly effeminate little boy think, oh my God, he might be gay. And then they discover, oh no, he's a girl. And they would actually prefer that little boy to be a girl rather than to be an effeminate young man. And that is what I'm talking about here. We need to look at that. And that is actually also promoted by these religious people that you are saying, that you find them on both sides of this argument, you see.
Well, if I might say, I don't agree with that at all. I'm a Baptist minister.
Well, I could give you some examples.
No. Please allow me to speak.
Sorry, yes.
I work with thousands of churches around the country. I would say again, the Bible is weaponized, just as it was to underpin slavery. the not granting of civil rights to blacks, the apartheid movement, not allowing women into leadership, keeping divorced people out of the church. And this is just the latest example of the poor use of the Bible, which is abusing people every day. The last time I spoke to a trans person was about 5 minutes before this call, because they texted me with their struggles and their problems. We have to do something, and we have to do it now. And a last comment from me, LGB, if you leave off the T, always understanding that there are differences as well as similarities, because this is about sexuality and gender for some people. If you leave out the T, well, unless everybody's free, no one's really free.
But
Bev,
I think
I'll allow you to come back on that final point, because this is the name of your organisation, of course. You leave out the T.
Well, I think there are lots of trans organisations, Steve, that specifically work to advance the rights of trans people. And that's absolutely right. And they should do that. And I have nothing against that at all. So we're doing the opposite. We advance the interests of LGBT people. And when it comes to lesbians, we stand up for them. And that's really a very, very important part of our work.
All right,
I'm
listen.
LGB and T, though. You understand that, don't you?
Well, then you can be all religions at once as well, Steve.
Steve's everything. Steve's just a god to all of us, I'd like to think. Listen, Steve Chalke, as ever, thank you. Bev Jackson, thank you.